Hey guys, Tits here. Have you ever thought, alright, I'm finally gonna memorize Japanese vocabulary? So you watch anime, write down new words, read vocabulary book, maybe even try Anki. And then the next day, you forget almost everything. And honestly, that feels awful. You get frustrated, you get annoyed, and sometimes you even start thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I remember anything? Am I just bad at this? Am I stupid? I know that feeling very well. When I was studying English, I felt exactly the same way. I had to study words seriously, and then the next day, I felt like my brain had deleted everything. And when that keeps happening, vocabulary study stops feeling like just studying. It starts to feel personal, like maybe you're the problem. But you're not. You're not stupid. We're not stupid. You're not bad at languages. You might just be using the wrong method. So today I want to talk about how to actually memorize vocabulary more effectively. And for me, these are three really important points. So the first point is this. Try to memorize words with images, not only with translation. For example, imagine there's an apple here. A lot of learners study like this. Ringo equal apple. Yeah, that's not wrong. But if you always try to memorize words only through your native language, you can build a habit of translating everything in your head. So when you listen, you translate. When you speak, you translate. And that can slow you down and make words harder to use naturally. So instead, try to connect the Japanese word directly to an image. Means, now here's an ringo again. Not ringo equal apple, but ringo equal a red sweet fruit in your mind. Now you see an image. That way, the word becomes much more direct. When you hear it, you imagine it. When you want to say, it comes out more naturally. This is really important for speaking and listening because in real conversation, you don't have time to translate everything, right? So the goal is Japanese word, image, feeling, meaning, not translation. The direct connections makes vocabulary much easier to understand and remember. Now the second point is this. It's better to meet a word many times than to spend a long time on it once. Some learners try to memorize one word by staring at it for a long time. But actually, that's often not the best way. Think about it like this. Who are you going to remember better? Someone you talked for 4 hours only once. Or someone you see for 5 minutes but every day in your neighborhood. Usually the second person, right? Because you meet them again and again. You remember their face, their voice, their vibe. Vocabulary is the same. Your brain doesn't always remember something just because you spend a long time with it once. It remembers things better when it sees them repeatedly over time. That's why I always say, what matters is not just time, it's frequency. Not I studied this word for a long time, but I met this word many times. That's a huge difference. This is where spaced repetition comes in. Spaced repetition means you review the same word again and again with space between each review. So instead of trying to memorize a word perfectly one day, you come back it to later. For example, you learn it today, review it tomorrow, review it again a few days later, and then review it again later. This works because forgetting is normal. When you first learn a word, the memory is still weak. So of course, your brain starts to forget it. And this is the part where a lot of learners panic. They think, I forget it, so I failed. But that's not true. Forgetting once does not mean failure. It just means the memory isn't strong yet. So the real process looks more like this. Learn, forget a little, review, remember better, review again, remember longer. That's how memory grows. Forgetting doesn't mean you're bad at learning. It means you're human. Humans forget things. The important thing is not to avoid forgetting completely. The important thing is to come back to the word again and again. That's how it stays. Now here's another really important point. Input alone is not enough. You also need output. This is something Shion Kabasawa Shion-san, talks about it in his book Output Daisen. He says that when you output what you learned, it becomes much easier for that information to stay in the memory and turn into deeper understanding. He also says, if you output something 3 times or more within 2 weeks after learning it, it becomes much easier to remember. An ideal balance between input and output is actually 3 to 7. So in other words, just putting words into your brain is still not enough. You need to use them. That's what helps them stay. So after learning a word, do something small with it. Say it, write it, use it in sentence. For example, if you learn 食べる to eat, you can say 寿司を食べます. I ate sushi. 寿司を食べました. I ate sushi. ラーメンを食べました. I ate ramen. If you learn 眠い sleepy, you can say 今日は眠いです. I'm sleepy today. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be smart. It just needs to be used. It stops being just information in a book. It starts becoming your word. And that makes a huge difference. And honestly, that changed a lot for me personally. When I was studying English by myself, I could not memorize vocabulary well at all in the beginning. Like, seriously. At first, I forget words all the time. I had studied them seriously. And then the next day, they were all gone. So if that's how you feel right now, I really get it. But what changed for me wasn't just magic trick. It was just repetition. I kept going through the same vocabulary book again and again and again. In my case, I went through the same English vocabulary book 60 times. 60. Now, I'm not saying you gotta do it for 6 times like me. That's not a point. The point is this. I was not someone who could memorize everything quickly from the beginning. Not at all. I forgot a lot. I repeated a lot. And little by little, the words stayed. So if you're thinking, other people can remember words, but I can't. That was me too. What helped me was not a talent. I was changing my approach and repeating the same words many times. So here's a simple way to study vocabulary. Step 1. Use vocabulary book or Anki. Step 2. Don't spend too long on one word. Maybe around 1 minute or even less. Just look at it, understand it, imagine it, then move on. Step 3. When you study, connect a word to an image, action, feeling, or situation. For nouns, imagine the thing. For verbs, imagine the action. For adjectives, imagine the feeling. Now step 4. After learning it, say one sentence, just a very simple one. Now step 5. The next day, quick review the words from yesterday. So when you forget them, don't think, I'm hopeless. Instead think, good, this is the moment I make the memory stronger. Now step 6. Keep cycling through the same words, finish the book, then go back again. And again, and again. That's the point, not perfection. It's about repetition. The first thing I want to say is this. Please don't give up just because you can't remember a word the first time. At the beginning, forgetting is normal. Reviewing again is normal. Needing many repetition is normal. So please don't look at the forgetting and think, I'm bad at languages. Instead think, this is part of the process. Because if you keep repeating, if you keep meeting the same words again and again, you will memorize many words. So you just need a right approach. Repetition and patience. Just repeat. Alright, thank you so much. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye for now. Why can't I remember everything? Please. Why can't I remember any? Why can't I? I want to share something with you. If you're studying Japanese alone and feeling lost, you're not the only one. That's exactly why I created Japanese Lounge by Ted Sensei. It's a learning home for true beginners where you get a clear roadmap, step-by-step lessons, live classes, Q&A, worksheets, feedback from me, and a place to learn alongside other students. So instead of guessing what to study next, you can start building real Japanese step by step. If that sounds like what you need, check the link in the description.